a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes, it's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Open the pod bay doors now.
Keep your friends close, but your enemies close.
I am nothing! No!
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Get busy living. Or get busy dying.
What's going on, everyone? My name's Michael, and welcome to Cinemaze, a podcast where a bunch of mates chat about cinema over some drinks. Today I'm joined by Pat and Luke, who have been on the podcast before. Hello. As well as Oli, who's making his debut. Boys, thanks for coming onto the show. How you going?
Really well. Good. Yeah, well, thanks.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. Got an exciting episode today. We'll be diving into the Netflix original series Ozark, Season 4, starring Jason Bateman, Julia Garner, Lauren Linney, and many more. And while we do that, we'll be drinking some coffees.
Awesome.
If you haven't already, please make sure you're following Cinemates on your chosen streaming platform and leave a 5-star review. Also, check out the Cinemaze YouTube channel where I post video essays on film and TV characters. So getting into it, Oli, for those guests that come onto the show, we like to get an idea of, firstly, who they are and what they like to watch. So I'll ask a few questions about cinema.
Yep,
Let's dive in. First question, Robert Pattinson or Andrew Garfield?
I'm going to go with Pattinson here. Just seen a bit more of his work. And yeah, loved the recent Batman. It was awesome.
Okay, nice. Good answer. David Fincher or Adam McKay?
So Adam McKay, massive comedy guy.
Yep.
Obviously took Will Ferrell along with him and has made some awesome funny movies that I think haven't been able to be replicated since then.
Yeah.
But Fincher had 7. So it's hard to decide between the two. I'm probably going to go for Fincher, yeah.
Okay. Like a bit more of a mind bender.
Yeah,
versus comedy.
Exactly.
Good answer. Nicole Kidman or Kate Blanchett?
Yeah, 2 queens, obviously. I think they were pretty neck and neck until Don't Look Up. Kate Blanchett just played.
Thought she had a good performance?
Yeah, it was just awesome. And it was kind of at the end of it, I was like, oh, was that Kate Blanchett? Wow, that was amazing.
Yeah, she really disappeared into that one.
Yeah.
Good answer. Toy Story or Lion King?
This is really, really tough. I think Lion King only because of the emotion that it makes me feel.
Okay.
Yeah, Toy Story, I think just kept delivering, which was epic. But Lion King, you just get that feeling of the childhood memories just flooding back whenever you think of it.
So nostalgic.
Yeah.
Stranger Things or Game of Thrones?
So these are 2 shows that I haven't, that I sort of started and never really got into, really sunk my teeth
So
into.
if you had to choose.
But Stranger Things takes the cake for me. I liked it a bit better.
Nice.
Yeah.
Getting into the more deep questions.
Yeah.
First one, most memorable movie that you've seen in cinemas?
Yeah, I think this has actually been said on the podcast before, but I'm going to go with Avatar because it was that, when it came out, it was just, everyone was just blown away by the CGI. Just never had been seen before. And so it was such a big, event, a cinema event.
Absolutely.
So that was definitely most memorable.
For sure. Next question, fastest TV show binge, Ollie?
Yeah, so this is a bit of a story. When I was sick one week, I just flicked on the Foxtel and it happened to be a massive Seinfeld marathon on one of the networks. And I was like, oh, this is meant to be. And I was pretty sick. I was bedridden for a whole week. So I got through the whole of the Seinfelds in that week.
Got through the entire thing.
The entire shit.
Oh my gosh.
Which has actually made me love it so much because I'd only really watched episodes at a time before that. And then when I got to appreciate it from start to finish, now it's easily my favorite sitcom.
Really?
Before I was a How I Met Your Mother person. I never really fully loved Friends as much as a lot of other people did, but now I'm all in on Seinfeld.
Great take.
I'm very similar to you. I've only really seen, episodes here and there, so maybe I need to do that as well.
No, you definitely need to. They bring back jokes from right at the start. And
okay.
Yeah.
You look a bit like Kramer as well.
Mate, I think you look like Kramer. Next question, favorite Australian movie?
Yeah, so I had to take to Google for this one, and I was just looking through movies. I guess this any movie filmed in Australia qualifies, right?
Yeah, it's a bit of a loose definition,
Yeah.
but you know, whatever.
I did like the
floats.
movie Australia, like the one that's just
Okay.
called Australia by
Hugh Jackman.
Baz
Hugh
Luhrmann.
Jackman and those guys. But the In Between Is Two movie was actually in Australia. So that was so grouse.
No way.
Yeah, I think was it in Byron or something?
I don't know. Yeah, I think it was in Byron. Yeah.
Okay.
Had to
Yeah.
be in
Nice
some
choice.
touristy spot, surely.
Movie that you think everyone needs to see.
So, I mean, for these, I just had to go for the absolute classics. I think number one would probably be Shutter Island.
Okay,
It's
nice.
just- it's an epic.
Great film.
Like, just
Leonardo.
Leo at his absolute finest.
Great twist.
Twist. Like, yeah. Like, I just still think about that movie all the time and, like, just think, yeah, wow.
Yeah,
Amazing.
such a good recommendation there. Favorite streaming service?
I'm going to go with Stan for this one. I like
Okay.
their combination of, like, they have really good documentary series on there. And so I think they have a good range. Netflix, I think, have sort of taken a lot of their original series and that's dominating the platform now. And they're, to be honest, like the proportion of them that are really good is quite, I don't think that it's that high. But Stan, they've got good, especially sports documentaries on Stan. They're pretty
really
sick.
good.
Next question, TV show that you're watching at the moment.
So I've just finished Ozark, so I'm pretty dry at the moment.
Okay.
I actually, would be looking for recommendations from you lads.
You've come to the right place.
I'm not a huge like TV show binger. Like I'll
Yeah.
watch a movie or something overnight, but I'm not really into anything at the moment. So.
Okay. I'm watching like 5 different shows at the moment. I'm
sick in the head, man.
I just watched Severance on Apple TV Plus. That
Okay.
was really good.
The Boys new season. Have you seen the
The Boys on Amazon Prime. Have you seen The Boys?
No, I have not.
Really?
I've
It's
heard
pretty
of
good
that
as well.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get into it.
Gangs of London, which
You
we'll get
got
into.
a pitch coming up.
Yeah.
I'll change my email and get a new Amazon Prime. Free trial. 1 week trial. No way I'm paying for that.
Get Marty Bird to make me a new identity.
Launder me some streaming accounts. So in the last episode, we had a Cinemates elevator pitch from Will, who recommended Gangs of London. And man, it was seriously so good. The opening of the first episode, you see a guy dangling from a building in London, and that just sort of sets the stage, had me hooked straight away. There's gruesome action, and it was very much like the movie Snatch or The Gentleman, if you guys have seen those.
Yeah.
The Gentleman's
But in TV show form. So I smashed 2 episodes literally last night as of the time of recording this. So yeah, amazing elevator pitch, Will. Thank you so much for it, and would highly recommend Gangs of London for those who haven't seen it. I believe it's on Stan.
Can vouch for that as
Correct,
well.
yeah.
Both Luke and I have smashed
Yeah.
and completed.
Great
Gangs
streaming
of,
service.
That was a
Gangs of
weak
London.
job.
Yeah, weak job easily. I think
Yeah.
was that lockdown as well.
I think it was
Nearing the
towards
end?
the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, prime
Yeah.
time.
Yep.
Prime time binging.
There you go. Another one to my list, I think.
Yeah, it's a great show. So for the next Cinemates elevator pitch, this episode we've got one from Tom again. He's got a bit of a track record on the show. So let's hear what he's recommending today.
Hey Michael, hope you're well. Absolutely loving the podcast, can't wait to get back on it for some yarns. I wanted to pitch a very underrated, unknown movie called Honey Boy. Honey Boy stars Noah Jupe playing a young Shia LaBeouf and Shia playing his father in a story that dives into the young acting career of Shia and his relationship with his father. Shia wrote the movie while in rehabilitation following a public intoxication charge as a way to reconcile with his childhood trauma, which is reflected in the whole plot. Both Shia and Noah give incredible performances, and the movie received a 95% Rotten Tomatoes rating. If you want to have a laugh and possibly jerk some tears, this is definitely a good watch. Let me know how you like it.
Jerk some tears, sure.
Wow.
Interesting
Honey Boy.
choice of words.
I have always had this sort of on my list, but never really got around to it. I think it's on Netflix at the moment, but yeah, I've heard some seriously good praise for it.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen it?
Shia,
It's first I've heard of it, so I'll probably. I'll watch it tonight when I sit in bed by myself.
Shia post rehab, that era of Shia LaBeouf that we're currently enjoying and reaping the awards from. I think Peanut Butter Falcon is another one.
Yeah,
there.
I've seen that one.
But
That was
also
really good.
Honey Boy 2 is an incredible film and a bit of a biopic kind of thing as well. So pretty
right.
cool.
It's a bit
Yeah.
of a wild card, Shy, isn't he? Just a bit of a nut job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's on the mend though. He could have some good work.
Also a great
yeah.
watch just whilst we're on Shire is an Actors Guild roundtable on YouTube
Oh,
with
yeah,
Shia
yeah.
LaBeouf. It's includes Adam Sandler, I think Robert De Niro's there
Yeah.
as well, and who plays
Adam Driver.
Yeah, Adam Driver as well. Yeah, so all-star lineup there, but
Yeah.
definitely worth a watch.
Just
Wanna
send it
hear a
in
bit
an
more about
elevator
Shia.
pitch, mate.
Yeah, great pitch there, Tom. We'll give Honey Boy a go and we'll
Cheers,
see
Tommy.
how it is. So getting into Ozark, to the listeners out there who haven't seen the show yet or season 4, guys, what would we say about this TV series in one word?
Luke, start us
Yeah,
off.
look, I had burn. Bit of a strange one, but it was in the sense that it was both a slow burn and at stages it like really lit up in a sense. So
Okay.
Agree with that.
in contrast to season 1, Ollie was sort of speaking about it before. We sort of get introduced to a lot more gruesome and violence.
Yeah.
So
Gets a bit more
so-
dark.
Yeah, so I just like the word burn. It just encapsulated it a bit for me. So yeah.
Fair enough. Good
man.
word. Ollie?
Nice. I went with involved.
Okay.
I thought straight from the start you could really see yourself as one of the characters, whether you're like a part of the Bird family or something, Marty, or for me, like I feel like the character just resonated so much with like your everyday American family, and so
Yeah.
I just felt so like involved. Like when Harvey came in the last season, he was mucking things up and making it hard for them to get out of the situation. I just like wanted him to go away, and like I just felt so like I felt like I was in the show, and like I wanted to be sort of influencing the events of the show. So for that reason, I went with involved. as my
Nice.
word.
Good choice there.
Like that.
Pat, what's your one word?
Here's one for you, gents. Tyranny.
Okay.
Tyranny.
Can I get a definition on that, please?
Can we get a translation on that?
So,
Is that English?
So obviously, like the tyranny of like Omar coming to an end. We're seeing, the diplomacy of like Wendy kind of being all involved with like government and working those, I suppose, like back end deals.
Yeah.
So I thought like it's just a real weird shift in power, and a lot of people's like, Omar, for instance, his tyranny is over.
Yeah.
So it's
I see.
all kind of coming to an end. So that's what I thought.
Interesting.
That thesaurus at home's been getting a workout. Yeah.
1v1 me in Scrabble, mate.
My one word is going to be exhilarating. I thought this season was probably the best of them all, maybe apart from season 1, but it was just a roller coaster of a story. There were some seriously big scenes and big cliffhangers for that matter. So, yeah, if you haven't seen it, Ozark, just as Ollie said and as the other boys said, you really get so invested by the end. So, yeah, exhilarating. So you've heard our words, so go watch Ozark if you haven't already. And just before we get into it, we'll just take a short ad break. Okay, boys, so getting into Ozark, what are our sort of overall thoughts of the season?
Yeah, so I mean, my main takeaway from it all is that Jason Bateman is just an absolute king.
Oh, 100%.
I don't know, the skill that he showed. I just felt like you could tell by the way that he delivered his lines throughout the whole thing that he was like, I started to get to the feeling like this guy is really smart. Like this is a genius at work here. And then I started to read more about the series. And then I realized that, he was directing part of it.
Yeah.
And then, getting more involved with his work and like having a look more into it. I was just like, wow, this guy is next level. And he's just like, what a like career actor, or like someone who's been around cinema. Like this would be so satisfying for him, because it was just felt like a real masterpiece for him. So that was my main thought. But I think other than that, the just involvement that I felt with the characters the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, Ruth stands out as the number one for me. She was just an awesome character and so unique. That are my takes.
Nice.
Yeah,
I think
great takes.
I think I completely agree. I think it's such an amazing show. There's such unique characters, as you sort of alluded to. Like Marty Bird is just this like incredibly complex guy. The Bird family, for that matter. Ruth, as you mentioned, and I think that's what makes the show great. So I think that's what makes the show so great. They're such like rich characters. They're not just like, kind of these like very shallow characters who just plot along.
Yeah, there's a
like,
lot of layers. Yeah.
A lot of layers.
Yeah.
You really come to understand each and every one of them. And I think that especially from Bateman and Julia Garner, like they kill it as always. and they were like rightly awarded their Emmy Awards for it. So I thought they absolutely killed it. And I think this season in particular, Marty and Ruth just like led the season, I thought.
I thought so too. I thought like this season, even though I watched it over probably like no word of a lie, the past 12 hours, I have not slept.
Yeah, wait. So just on that note, tell the listeners about your journey with Ozark. Like you watched it very recently, right?
Yeah, so very recently. So I was up to season 3 this time last week. And then I said to Mike, yeah, definitely I'll be happy to come on to Ozark. I'll be up to date by then. Had a bit of a busy week. And I suppose resented catching up a little bit. And so I started 5 o'clock on the train home from work yesterday at 1.5 speed on Netflix.
So weird.
So I watched a season in a night and I've slept from, I think like 5:30 to 8:30. So yeah, to say I'm fresh on the case is
an understatement.
Yeah, it's definitely an understatement.
You look cute at least.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it.
But as you were saying,
yeah. So like as I'm like kind of alluded to before, I thought the characters in season 4 we really saw that element of like just really grasping for freedom. I thought so. It was like really encouraging to see. I think off the back of season 3 that we were finally kind of approaching the light at the end of the tunnel for a lot of the characters.
Yeah.
And then it was like just taken away like like a thief in the night. It was just like, what the hell is going on? So it's like all pretty crazy, but it was a great season.
I think on that note, like what's so great about Ozark is that it's so unpredictable.
Yeah.
I was watching the kind of farewell to Ozark behind the scenes episode that they did after the season finished because it's the end of the show. And they were talking about how unpredictable it was and how each of the actors was like finding out that their character was going to die, and they were like devastated and shocked.
They would rock up to the set that day and they'd be like, "Oh, am I going to die today?" They're like, "Oh, you have to say goodbye to all you guys." Yeah, sorry, man.
Yeah, it's like so funny in that sense. And I think like on that note, like they were talking about how close everyone got on the set and like everyone was saying goodbye and like you're so invested in it.
Yeah, especially because like there are a lot of child actors. The Bird family.
Yeah.
They like grew up on the set. They said.
Yeah.
So that's pretty
amazing.
I thought as
that
well, just like it was kind of like a little bit off piece, but I thought like the Ozarks location wise was such a good choice. It was like
something.
It was like eerily enough the perfect place to like induce that sense of like manic craziness to like all the characters. Like, whether it be Ben, Wendy, everyone just went full tilt off scale, like crazy kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it was like such a great location as well, I thought.
Yeah, it was like perfectly
I couldn't think of anywhere else.
Yeah, perfectly like distanced away from like normal society, but also sort of intertwined within like the American culture.
They all want to go
They had their
back
own
to Chicago
societies.
at the end as well.
Yeah. That's
Want
like
to get out of there.
that's the
So it's been labelled
light
as
at the end of
this
the tunnel.
bad spot now.
Well, they've like infected it almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, my boss at work, just as a quick side, he said his family like holidayed at the Ozarks, like when he was growing up. He's from Oklahoma, and he said like the Langmores couldn't be more like to a T of the people that like live there more. Like like he just said, you just think of like some sort of hillbilly sort of country area, and they just run the place, and they're like they're the staff at the local lazy
diners,
all that stuff. And he's like, that's exactly what it's like. So
interesting.
Yeah.
I think as well, just quickly, last sort of bit that I thought was great about the show is that the fact that Jason Bateman directed, I think, most of the first season, if not the whole thing, a few episodes here and there as well. Wendy actually the actor who plays
Laura.
Wendy actually directed some
Lauren
episodes in season 4 as well.
Yeah.
And Robin Wright, who is Jenny in Forrest Gump, she also directed some episodes in the final season. So I think it's great that you have these like actors who actually are directing it because they understand the story, they understand the characters because they're literally in the show. And I think that just adds like another element to
I was
it.
going to say it's so well rounded that like the audience is so widespread. Like I think your mum watches it. I actually started Ozark because my parents were watching it.
Yeah.
Exact same.
I think that probably complements the audience that they've got for the
100%.
show.
I definitely think
Like,
so. Yeah.
And then I think that's because like it's just a normal family Well, they're not normal by the end, but
Sort of
a normal
relatable at the start.
Yeah,
in
at
a
the
sense,
start,
yeah.
absolutely. Like you got parents, you got kids, you got everyone navigating.
That reminds me a bit of Jonah, but yeah.
We'll get into that
I
later.
got the body of Ben though, so
Alrighty. So let's get a bit more deep in. So what were your sort of like favorite scenes or quotes or characters for season 4?
just coming off the back of that binge, I've got one vividly repaying in the back of my mind, if that's all right, to kind of reference just off the back. So I believe it was season 4, ep 8. So Ruth has obviously gone to Chicago to follow the birds, to go after kind of Javier after, her cousin being killed. And
Is this the first episode of part 2?
Part 2.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
I think it's ep 7.
Yeah. So they're in the diner and actually get a feature from a rapper called Killer Mike. So, it's a bit of a focal piece throughout the show, Ruth's love for East Coast rap. So they're in the diner and they're kind of talking, and Killer Mike hears over her earphones like a song from Nas. And I thought it was worth mentioning kind of like the lyrics there, and like the conversation they have. It was very reflective of Ruth's character. Like, so he said, full of villains and creeps. That's where I learned to do my hustle, had to scuffle with freaks. And then Ruth mentions, it always feels to me like he hates it and misses it all at once. So it's like obviously talking about the Ruth's arc of, being used to this like cartel life now.
Yeah.
But then also saying that she misses her old life with,
The simple life.
yeah, exactly.
On the roof with wire.
Yeah, on the roof. Yeah.
Under the stars.
Yeah.
But she knows that like this is a life she's into now. But that was one of my favorite moments for sure.
Yeah, I think that definitely like adds some color to that scene because
Yeah.
I didn't know about the music behind it.
Yeah, I
'Cause
thought it was just a bit of a weird.
Yeah,
kind of
I knew
thing.
that Ruth liked that sort of music, but I didn't really get the meaning behind it.
I
But
didn't realize he's an actual like rapper.
He's
Yeah, I
like
thought
a
it was a
very
fake rapper.
famous, very famous East Coast rapper. Yeah.
Oh wow.
yeah, so I
Jeez.
think that opening scene of part 2, like we were all left hanging at the end of part
Yeah.
1, season 4, part 1, and like to to go straight into Ruth in her pickup truck,
Yeah.
like going after Harvey, like the emotion shown in that was absolutely epic because it was that feeling of
Redemption.
like, the way that like it had been painted is like, so Ruth's, her journey is to get her and Wyatt out of the situation they're in,
Yeah.
right? Marty's journey is to get him and his family out. And so
Yeah.
at that point, you're like, Marty's, his dream is still alive and hers has just been shattered.
Absolutely
Like,
shattered.
genuinely taken out from in front of her eyes, and she had to watch it. So it's
Yeah.
just like, that is like the most raw emotion that you could possibly be feeling.
Yeah.
And so you get thrown into that at the start of part 2, season 4, and you're just like, yeah, you just feel for Ruth in that moment.
They
So-
encapsulate that through like the psychotic sort of episode that she has as well when she's driving around.
Yeah.
She's sitting in the
Yeah.
car, but
Yeah,
she's
she has
like,
the
coffee.
hallucinations
she's
of killing.
imagining that she's killing everyone.
Yeah.
But then it just flashes back to her sitting in the car like a weirdo. So.
Yeah, with her hood on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She looks like a little kid. And then
Well,
she
yeah,
pulls
like
out
her
the gun.
life has just been turned upside down, and I love that they started that with this first part of part 2.
Yeah.
And I think like just to touch on the ending of part 1, because I sort of stopped Ozark after season 2, and then my parents loved season 3, so I was like, okay, I'll get back into it. And I binged it all the way to the end of season 4, part 1, and the cliffhanger, like Javier kills Darlene and Wyatt, and you're like, holy fuck, like that is insane.
Bit of a theme with the end of their parts and seasons, isn't there?
Yeah.
Someone dies.
I
always a
also
cliffhanger.
found it like just to touch on that, like I found it amazing how Darlene went from in the earlier seasons, like her and her husband's name, who I can't remember, like they had so much power, Jacob, to the end where she dies and you're literally like, oh, like she's powerless. Like that's not gonna. Whereas like earlier, if Darlene had died, you would have been like, holy shit, like
Yeah.
Just showed
like
how
all
like,
hell's about to break loose. But like she dies at the end, and you're just like, oh, well, her power's been completely gone. So
Showed
Yeah.
the
who
tie
cares?
that
Why
like,
it's more important at this point.
Yeah.
like the hold that like she had over the sheriff. As
Yeah.
soon as he was out of the picture,
Lost
she
control.
was just like in the dust.
Where did her crew go? They just disappeared in their heads.
no
Yeah,
no
exactly.
loyalty with rednecks, man.
We'll
They
get-
just wanted the poppies.
Yeah, yeah.
They
Took
were
all the puppies.
itching for some puppies.
Yeah, we could get into that a bit more, but I think just to touch on the actual cliffhanger itself, like the way they shot it, like so Ruth comes to the house to give Wyatt like a wedding present.
Yeah.
And there's no sound, like it's silent. And then you see her discover the dead bodies of her cousin and his
And the baby
lover,
just
which we'll
crying.
talk about. Baby crying. And you're just like, holy shit. And you see how, like, you know, Ruth has lost everything. Like, she's lost her entire family. The birds don't
She's
give a
loaded,
shit
but it
about
doesn't
her.
matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't care. And we get at the very end, like, this close up of Ruth in the truck. And I was just like sort of realizing like how far she's come. Like her character arc is insane. And then she goes to the birdhouse and like they don't give a shit about her. Wendy's like saying like something like awful to her.
So
and then she just goes ape shit and she's like, "You're going to have to kill me."
Yeah.
When
so good.
Her veins popping out of her neck.
Yeah,
bro.
Julia
Oh my
Garner is
God.
just like, that was one of my favorite quotes.
Yeah, that was so
her and
good,
a
man.
shotgun that would blow her away if she ever pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's so little, man.
You gotta stop it.
Yeah, and like the way that she coached the owner of the Blue Cat, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
The way that she coached her to remember she shot Nelson from the roof.
Oh, yeah,
The way
yeah,
that
yeah.
the way that
Oh,
Ruth was
Rachel.
like, this is what you got to do. Like
Yeah.
the way that like in season 1 she wouldn't have been capable of that.
No.
Whereas
No.
like by the end she was so into that like scene that
Yeah.
she knew how to handle these fucking
She had
cartel
Killing a hitman, yeah.
Like she knew exactly.
She
what to
almost
do.
took the power off Darlene.
Yeah, she did. Well,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like it goes to show Rachel was that character. She gets
Rachel,
like
yeah.
dragged into all this stuff. And
Yeah.
She just disappears and then comes back as well.
Well,
went on
no,
hol-
she
went on
No, she
holiday.
went to get sober.
the
Remember, she was
yeah,
an
because she
addict.
started getting back into the
correct.
poppies. But yeah, I think just on Ruth again, because Ruth's obviously a huge part of the season. I thought it was nice in part 2. We get these like memories with Wyatt on the top of their like
Yeah. Oh,
home
man,
and stuff.
that hit home.
And you're just seeing like how, like Ruth's just lost everything. I thought as well, really interesting because she doesn't give a fuck about anything anymore. I thought another good quote from Ruth. She says to Marty, like she's just ruthless at this point. Like she doesn't care. She's got nothing to lose. And she says to Marty like how emotionless he is and he doesn't know who he is anymore. And I was like, that is like so true. Like Marty's just, he never like,
He's numb.
he's just numb to everything. He never says anything. He never like backs himself. Like, and it was like,
he's scared of Wendy.
yeah. Well, I don't even know. Like he's so complex, but I thought it was like
Smith-esque.
Ruth is like saying this stuff and it's like the first time that Marty actually hears it and you see him like change a bit. And then she kills
Javier.
Javier.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, that was my actually best scene. So she's stalking him in the car, and Marty obviously sees her, but on that point, like Marty doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
No.
He just sees her and goes like, "What the fuck?" sort of thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then Ruth is driving around, sees them in the restaurant with the medical business owner.
Yeah, sure.
Sure Medical, yeah. And then she just decides to go in and pretty much forces him back to the office and makes Wendy ends up calling Javier and essentially fucks the whole business. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. And then Wendy proceeds to blame it on Marty.
Yes, turns around and blames it on Marty.
She's
I was
so
like, bro, this
arrogant
can't-
in that way. She's
can't
like,
get a
oh, she
break.
won't do it.
And
then-
Marty's just like,
Yeah,
but you
I
called
didn't think
Javier.
she was going to do it. What do you mean you didn't think she was going to do it? You made the call, man.
But that
She,
scene
fucked up.
happened really quick as well. Like she didn't even speak to Javier. As soon as he walked in, she just popped a camera.
In terms of like, I always think about like, okay, what's life like for the birds now, like after the season's
Yes,
finished?
it
And I
always
reckon Marty has like his conscious should be pretty clear, but like Wendy's, man, she's muddy as like
So
she
muddy.
should not be holding her head high.
Oh,
I reckon, as
100%.
they leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got a lot to repent for.
Yeah, we can
I
definitely
think-
talk about Wendy.
I think like both of their psychologies are so interesting from even season 1. Like Marty is obviously like a savant of some kind, like just so desensitized by his
Yeah.
own bullshit, like, and like obviously just finds clarity and I think that's also how that desensitization goes on as well throughout the show. It's like Wendy fucking talks about like her like charity and stuff, and that's how they find solace in all their like, you know,
yeah,
Yeah, but it's just a money laundering scheme.
Foundation.
yeah.
yeah, exactly right. But like, you know, Wendy thinks she's legitimized herself in that sense.
Yeah, exactly.
But
She's
so
almost
hungry
like
for power.
she's almost like justifying, and then she takes it a step further to she actually starts to enjoy it. Like she loves like going up and like intimidating people, and like she loves the wheel and the deal.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
which I grew like this distaste for the way that she went about things in season 4. It's just like you're just using your power, like that you've got this kind of unstoppable, you've got this invincibility around you.
Yeah.
think,
That sort of
she
personality
abused
had
it.
to be in the bird family
100%,
because Marty's obviously not there, like
Yeah.
mentally, I guess. So there almost had to be that personality.
Marty's
He just wants to
Buddy
play
is.
arcade games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also thought as well, like you mentioned it before, I think, or maybe we were talking about it before you came on the pod, but that kind of American sense of diplomacy, like all those backdoor dealings,
Yeah.
like Senate influencing through like,
Yeah,
you
it
know,
makes you think like how realistic is that?
and I
Like,
thought
how much
like,
dirt
you know,
is there,
Wendy's character and the way they've written her complexity of like, you know, obviously dealing with those types of people is so relevant. So
and
I
she makes
actually
really
love
good
that.
first impressions as well.
Yeah.
So you can imagine someone of her power, like she makes, she makes really good impressions. People think that she's a really good person on face
Puts on
value.
this smile.
But
Like,
there's so much dirt underneath her. Like imagine, like I don't know, like how realistic it is, but like
Yeah.
for sure.
I'm sure there's lots of people.
All the
that-
Illuminati and the lizard people. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. So.
nah, it's really interesting in that sense. I think like just on let's get into Wendy.
Yeah.
I think like for me, like her character has come so far. Like she's like, because if you think, I think in season 3, she just like kind of sees that Marty and Navarro like are starting to have this relationship. And she just like sees that opportunity and like jumps on it. She starts like almost like flirting with Navarro as well.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
So
that was
I
awkward.
was like so frustrated with her like in this season. Like I was just like, can you just like fuck off? Like you're being all annoying. And like there was a quote that she says to Marty. She's like, I know I'm not easy to love. And it's like, yeah, no shit. Like you've done all this stuff.
Yeah, as if you're only just admitting that now.
You got him
And then-
tortured.
And then the dad comes into the picture, like wants to take the kids away because their lives have just been insanely like ruined. And she's like begging the dad not to take the kids. Like she smashes her head in the car window to like pretend that she's
and then checks
Psych.
herself into the psych ward.
psyche. Yeah. And like then like
But she does that only to prove to Jonah or like to prove to her kids
Yeah,
that
to the
she's,
kids that
she's like
Yeah,
not
she's playing.
yeah,
She's
yeah.
playing her
She's
own
playing
kids
a game,
again.
yeah.
It's like,
because that's
bro,
where
come
Ben
on.
was as well.
Like,
in that
'cause
psych ward.
Yeah.
Before that, like the inner sanctuary of the Bird family was very much like honesty and like they were really upfront with each
Yeah.
other. And
Yeah.
now she's getting to the point where she's literally deceiving her own family. Like,
Yeah.
that's a bit dark.
And as well, like if you think back to season 3 or part 1 of season 4, like she ordered the hitman to kill Ben,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is insane. I thought that was really sad.
it had
I
to be
thought
done,
that
I
whole
thought.
like roller coaster and
Yeah.
Ben as well in particular. I think that was one of the great kind of shows of acting in the show, actually.
Yeah, it added such a cool layer.
Yeah, like Ben's, you know, obviously that element of Ruth and Ben too was, you know, a nice touch, humanized Ruth a little bit.
Yeah.
But then also,
First
just that
love
whole
interest.
like ordering the hit and leaving the diner. I was
Such a
actually
sad
tearing
scene,
up.
yeah.
I was actually tearing
Yeah.
up. Like that was so powerful. Obviously, like, you know, that she's running a business, but also their family at the end of the day as well. So
Yeah,
it's-
and you see how much it affects her, and she's
Ben
like,
was in a bad way, like mentally though.
he was.
Oh,
it was
so
either
bad.
He would have 100% snitched on her on there.
yeah. Well, if you
she
think
did
about it,
to Aaron, to the like
Yeah,
to
to
the
the
lawyer.
yeah, to the lawyer's daughter.
Ellen.
His
Yeah.
daughter. Yeah.
After that, I was like, nah, there's no way this guy's surviving.
Yeah, it's like either they all die or Ben dies.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But still, like, insane that. So she's killed her brother. She also threatens to kill her own dad. Like, she's just off the rails at this point.
But
Yeah.
do you think that, so we get to meet her dad quite a bit in this season.
Yeah.
And it's pretty clear where maybe a lot of her issues have come
Yeah, the
from.
apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
So do you think that it's not necessarily her fault? Do you feel a bit of sympathy for her?
Well, I don't know, because she says that he, like, was an alcoholic and he, like, beat her up and
yeah,
stuff.
that
but
that ticked me over the line. I was like, oh,
but
okay.
I don't know what
Maybe
to
she has-
believe because she's such a liar. now.
But we,
Yeah.
but
True,
we see that
exactly.
We see that from the dad when Ruth goes and talks to him about
Yeah.
letting Jonah stay.
Oh, when Ruth deceives him.
Yeah, yeah.
that's
Remember,
an
and then
epic scene.
she because Ruth didn't believe Wendy either. Ruth goes to the motel and starts asking
and then she uncovers for herself that this guy's not a decent person.
I
And then we as the viewer go, we're with Ruth. When we know Ruth is gonna, she's true to herself. So we kind of find out then and there that I think, Wendy's dad is a bit of a crook. Because if Ruth thinks someone's a crook, they're a crook type thing. Like by the end, you're just like,
game recognizes game.
Yeah, exactly. So, I definitely think that his involvement in the last season allowed us to get a better idea of why Wendy is the way she is.
Yeah.
And maybe, I think I did feel a little bit of sympathy because especially when you start thinking of abuse as a child, that literally is the number one thing that that creates issues for people down the line.
Absolutely.
And puts them into situations of crime. And it actually just because your brain is so plastic when you're a kid, and if you get beat up, you're changed forever.
Dr. Clark.
We've got an in-house doctor at Cinemates. I completely agree. I think it was interesting to see Marty's childhood as well. He has to have something slightly off with him, but loves playing games and stuff. And then fast forward to having to go down to Mexico, while Navarro's in hospital.
Yeah.
And he has to
watching the people get waterboarded.
He has to make people get waterboarded, get all these people bashed and stuff. And Jason Bateman is he acts so well in this sort of scene.
Such a good,
He's
on the phone to Wendy and he's just out of it. He's fuck off. They're slowly starting to disagree on things. And then I think he comes back and they're driving somewhere and she and starts to annoy him and they're in traffic.
Oh yeah.
And he just goes ape shit to this guy and he the guy's honking the horn and then he just gets out of the car and genuinely starts bashing him. And I think it was the first time he's hit anyone in the show.
Yeah, I definitely think it was the first time
he's exerted
and
violence.
You see Wendy go oh, there's my man.
Turned on by it.
Sure,
So it goes to show, the type of Marty that Wendy has always wanted him to be.
Yeah, I thought that was a really interesting part. I think as well, at the start of season 4, the show opens with their car getting crashed.
Yeah. I think it was the end of the season before, wasn't it?
I don't know.
It shows a couple times.
They did it twice.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I think
they did it as a recap. I think they recapped it.
Yeah, because
but you think they're dead. You think they're driving out of the Ozarks and they've died, and that's
But
they're going to get to the end.
I thought at least one of the family members was going to get killed.
Yeah, so I completely forgot about the car crash. The car crashes and you're holy shit. Everyone starts to slowly get out and it's filmed as one continuous shot. And Wendy doesn't get out, and you're oh shit, is Wendy dead? Is Wendy dead? But then she's alive, and
that'd have been the ultimate,
it would have been great. But I think they all act so well in it. Bateman is genuinely you see all this fear of his wife and his family dying.
Yeah, and the way that they film it is that she originally doesn't get out, and so for I don't know, I want to say 10 seconds as the audience, you're thinking she's dead, and then you start to try and process, okay, how the family I reckon Jonah is going to be there's going to be a sense of relief there, right?
Relief,
so you start going, and then when she starts to crawl out, you go, it sort of resets it. But the way that the scene was shot is that you got a glimpse of, okay, Wendy's dead.
What's the reaction?
Yeah, how does everyone feel in that very moment? Because they look side to side and they don't see her and they think she's dead.
Because didn't
which is amazing.
They talk with the priest comes and then he goes, maybe this is a sign. And then she goes, no, this is why we're invincible.
I thought it was funny when Omar
she thinks
she's
Omar's personal priest literally goes it's not healthy for you to be around this much death. It's what are you saying, bro? It's you. And then she goes, oh no, this isn't a mission that we're gonna make it through.
And that's right, yeah. And they've been open that they're non-religious, Marty and Wendy, from the start.
Yeah.
The priest is so funny. He just rocks up and then just goes, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then walks away.
Such a good ending. And then, of course, I think we should touch on the private investigator at the very end.
Yeah.
You think they're out? Navarro's been killed. They go to the ball at the
the function,
Ruth gets shot.
the casino.
Yep.
Ruth gets killed. They get home and you're okay, all this devastating stuff has happened, but I think they're in the clear.
Yeah.
And they're just sitting down at the dining table and it starts to zoom out and you see that the like back door's broken. There's all this glass everywhere. You're like, man, who could possibly be here now? Like, what the
There's
fuck?
no loose ends.
Yeah,
there aren't any left.
No.
Because you
Come on,
forget
man.
that he went back to his police job. They got
because
him.
they paid him.
And then he's there and you're like, fucking hell, man. What do you guys think of that scene? Especially Pat. We just watched it before recording.
You've got the most raw reaction to it because
what do you think?
You go for it.
I really don't know how to feel just in general. Like, I don't know. It was interesting, right? I thought, no loose ends. So I was like so curious as to what's actually going to go down here. I thought he was a bit of a thorn in the side like the whole time. It was good to see some fresh eyes though with like a good motive come in. Like,
he genuinely wanted to do the right thing.
He wanted to just blow it all up from the inside out. And obviously he's had Ben there. He's found in the goat cookie jar, which was a bit crook. But we obviously see Jonah with his shotgun taking us back to like those old school hunting techniques that Buddy taught him as well.
That.
So he closes his eyes and I instantly just sort of Buddy. But it's going to be like obviously big bang of the gun and blank screen. So I don't know who he's pulled the trigger on.
Could be Wendy. Could be Wendy.
Wow.
Well, like
Jonah could have just been over and just ended it
I
on
wouldn't
himself.
mind that. I hate Jonah.
We'll touch on Jonah, but like I think because Jonah's he left home, he hated what Wendy was doing. Still was like with Charlotte and Marty, but like I thought he kind of like put that all past him.
Yeah.
So if he kills the PI, I don't know. Like I think it just reverts his arc.
Yeah, I think the
it's
assumption
because
is that he's killed the PI.
He's also realised because the grandfather when the grandfather came, he was sort of like reiterated why he hated Wendy. But then once he realised what his grandfather had done and
and Ruth allowed him to realise that.
So maybe
that's true.
Maybe that's a turning point for Jonah, and he's back going.
He goes,
like,
I'm being an idiot. I need to stick with my family. Like
How good is it when like he pulls the
arrived at
gun and Marty just smiles at him?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
He's like, that's my son. That's my son, my boy.
I didn't
Taught
pick
him
that,
well.
I didn't pick that up when
Taught him how to code. Now I'm taught him how to fucking kill.
I didn't pick that up before because like
But also, sorry to butt in, very rude.
No, you're
but
okay.
So I just thought of something. You know when Garcia and Buddy kills Garcia in season 1?
Yeah.
Because Wendy smiles at him as well to say, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Remember? And then it clicks and there's no ammo because Buddy's taking the ammo out of the gun.
Oh, yeah.
And she smiles and she goes, yep, do it.
Yeah, right. Wow. There's
So full
definitely
circle.
some stuff brought back.
Just to go back, I think like first time I watched the ending, I didn't really pick up Marty smiling because I was obviously just lost.
There was so much happening.
But rewatching it just now, I was like, oh, interesting. Like he's like, that's my son. And equally back, Jonah like is Marty's son. Like he's like the same sort of person.
Same person.
And Charlotte's kind of her own. But I wouldn't say she's Wendy. But
I like where Charlotte went. She she grew up a bit. She was like, I'm gonna do the right thing.
I think in that scene, is it safe to assume it's the private investigator that he shoots?
Yeah, I think so.
I think we have to. Otherwise, we won't.
Could be a twist at the start of.
We can't get to an answer.
Maybe Jonah has his own show, and then
Jonah and the
I
Ozark.
think the other thing that was super fitting about the last scene was just the way that they were all formally dressed. Like you got to see Ruth, like she'd never been dressed nice the whole time.
Yeah.
And so you see everyone sort of, it's this, you think of,
Like
school,
coming of age.
going to school with people. It's the coming of age, right? You go, and then you finish with like your school formal and everyone's like looking nice.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really cool way to end it because it was just like everyone's in their sort of, the form that they're in is they're all on equal playing fields. They're all at a nice event. They're all dressed up. And so I thought that was like an awesome way to end it. And also it made for really dramatic shots at the point where Marty and Wendy knew that Ruth was gonna be shot. The shots that like panned around the event and like watching everyone's reactions.
they're all hugging.
And then right after they cut back from Ruth being shot and they go back to Marty and Wendy presenting and all the sounds are dulled.
Yeah.
Like, man, that was shot so
they do
well.
that sort of stuff so well. Like it just shows you what all the characters are feeling.
Because that's exactly what, like they wouldn't have like if you put yourself in like Marty's shoes, for example, like he wouldn't have heard, like he wouldn't have known what he was saying up on that stage.
No,
right? When
he
was
would have just
accepting
been
it or whatever,
lost.
he would have just been so like emotionally kind of not there. So I thought that was a really interesting way that they shot that.
Like the characters have their own characters, sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially with Marty, like he has to put on so much when he's he's a different person when he's
for sure.
Yes, true. Yeah, so yeah, you got Marty by the launderer, you got the accountant,
Wendy, the like politician,
the
bitch.
Yeah.
and then
No, that's just who she
both, and then both of them as parents, and they both kind of suck parenting. In their, in
Wendy
their own
tries
ways.
to be a good parent. To be fair to her, like she really does try.
I think she just loses like the idea.
She digs her own hole.
Yeah.
Sure.
About when like they're parenting and like co-parenting style and like and Jonah has gone to decide to work for Darlene.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And Wendy goes, money laundering at 14. And then like Marty just smiles. He's like so proud of him. Like it's normalized. It's like
So many times he like goes, like he just like literally says, "What the fuck, Wendy? Like, what are you doing?"
Well, let's get into the bad parts since we're starting to allude to a few. I'm going to start off. One thing that I was just like, I couldn't believe actually happened was Wyatt and Darlene getting with each other and having a relationship.
I didn't want to talk about this.
Hang on. Just before we dive into it, I was watching the Farewell to Ozark thing and they were talking about it. And the actors, like when the writers, like they made it as a joke, like, oh, what if Darlene and Wyatt like get together? And they're like, they said that all the actors and especially the actor for Wyatt were just laughing at it because they were like, nah, that can't happen. And then they were like, oh, actually, like, let's do it. And then you see it happen and you're like, what the fuck?
They actually physically get with each other too.
Like a 60-year-old woman and like a, 18-year-old
How old is
kid.
he actually though?
I don't know.
Like,
Got it there.
Imagine like Charlie Tarhan is his name. He's our age, 23. Imagine talking to his mates about like, hey, what are you doing for work at the moment? Oh, yeah, I'm on this show called Ozark. I'm actually getting with a 60-year-old lady.
Lisa Emery plays Darlene. Yeah. Really weird.
Not bad.
Yeah, that just
that was
made
just-
me
it was
absolutely uncomfortable.
With their stolen
Very
child.
uncomfortable.
with the stolen baby. Yeah. That's the priest baby, no?
They're like, the pastor.
The
he gets so
pastor.
hard done by
he's
as well,
dark.
Yeah, that's dark. Yeah.
Pastor, the
Poor
guy who
bloke.
ends up working at the motel.
No. The guy who used to sell.
No, you're thinking of the
He used to do
realtor, the real estate guy.
that
He's
guy's such a
he's
weirdo.
I
Gambles all
love
his
him.
money away. Yeah.
I love. I went back and because a lot of this I'm putting into context, having rewatched a few episodes of season 1 here and there. And the first time you meet him, the realtor, what's his name?
Don't know.
He's just like a battler. Anyway, the first time you meet him, he's like in his office, and Wendy goes in to buy because they get to the Ozarks and they need to buy a property, and they're like, Marty instructs her to get like a modest property, but like nothing too flashy. So he goes into this real estate place, and the guy's batting off with his cat there with peanut butter.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
Yeah,
at all.
I know, me neither. I hadn't remembered it. I went back and I was like, that is a great way to introduce this character. That's like perfect.
Sam.
That's
Just
insane.
Sam, that's him.
Yeah.
Man,
Oh
he's
my
a great
God.
character. I love Sam.
What about Javier?
I liked him, man.
Blood boiled on him.
Man, he's such a frustrating character. Like he just sucks.
He was like
sucks,
he was a
yeah.
bull in a china shop, I thought. He just like, he was just,
There was something always going to happen.
Oh yeah, for sure. You knew. And like when
a psycho.
the one scene where Marty comes into the casino, it's just like another day, and then he's sitting in the bar, waiting for him. I'm just like, oh, this guy's gonna be in
What now?
trouble.
Yeah.
But yeah, as soon as you see him at that function they have in Mexico, the family event, whatever it is, where they first meet him, you just build a hatred for him, and you just want his because at the end of the day, a lot of these cartel bosses. Like obviously he was an exception, Harvey, because he got killed by Ruth, but you think they're untouchable. So you just want their sort of effect on the innocent people to be as little as possible.
Yeah.
So when he entered the show, I was just like, man, please don't like kill anyone.
Yeah,
like
he's just like so
Navarro-
unsettling.
So
Navarro
unsettling.
wanted him gone the whole time as well.
Yeah,
though.
exactly.
Like Navarro was never a fan of him, so
Yeah.
And
And
he
it goes to
was
show
like a
how
loose
strong
cannon.
family,
Yeah,
how strong
exactly.
family is in.
Yeah, I think like one thing that because you see how kind of insane he is. He kills the sheriff at his home.
Straight away.
Actually, in Helen's
In
home.
Helen's house, yeah. And he turns
But
up the music.
and he just kills him. And like,
Yeah.
there's CCTV there. Which on that point, like
It's just irresponsible.
the sheriff of the Ozarks has been killed. Like
Yeah. Or
that just gets swept under the
It gets
rug.
swept under the rug,
Like,
but also a great scene after that is when
When he tries to become friends with the new sheriff, is that what
No,
you
when Jonah has been talking to Ruth and he's over at the
With the
Langmore's
gun.
place, and then he comes back
Oh,
and he's
yeah.
on the fence whether he wants to join working for Darlene or not.
Mm.
And then he comes back on his bike and it's dark, and then he peers down and like you can see just under lights Wendy and Marty helping Harvey load the sheriff into the back of their car.
yeah.
And then that's when Jonah goes, fuck this
is
family.
fucked, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I thought that was like an awesome, like
Buying a
the way
cemetery.
that they added those two, the crematorium.
Yeah.
The way that they added those two parts of the story together in that one scene was pretty cool.
Yeah, but like I think they showed like one thing where it was like a billboard and it was like sheriff missing, and it's like that was it. Like, did you not think that was a bit sort of lazy?
Yeah, Marty just
Yeah.
looks up and just goes,
But it sort of goes to show, right? Like that's America.
Yeah, I
reckon.
guess that's
Like,
true.
I don't know. I reckon there's parts of the States where that stuff does happen. And then there's just, I don't know. a bit of
Yeah, well,
laziness.
same with the FBI agent
I
in
guess
the
the sheriff
previous
is pretty
seasons,
numb.
right? He gets bashed by Ruth's dad.
True, FBI is a
And
different
then-
level. Yeah. It's
It's just like, oh yeah, he drowned in a river like
I
while
was
he was
very,
fishing. Like,
to be fair, I was very happy to see that one get swept under the rug.
same.
I
But
hated,
like,
yeah.
I hated him so much.
the FBI were like,
Imagine-
oh yeah, good. Like,
Imagine if he was the guy who was
Good
sitting on,
riddance.
he was the one sitting outside Marty and Wendy's house on the last scene.
Oh, that
You're
would've
like,
been-
wait, what? Where's
that
this
would've
going
been
from? I thought he
insane.
drowned.
Yeah.
any other bad parts that you guys?
I actually, this could be a bad take, but I know that a lot of people won't like this, but I actually hate Jonah.
Oh man,
I hate
why?
you.
Yeah, good. I hate myself too. I don't know. He just like is such.
He's
I know
such a
that
little
he's
shit.
grown up in a shit family, etc. But he's just like such a rebellion in like a most innocent way possible.
He's been a product of his own surroundings.
I know, but he just
Yeah, you can't-
like
you
it
can't
just
blame
annoys me. Like I just feel like he needs like Marty doesn't do anything. Like Marty obviously loves him, but like if I wanted sort of Marty to just fucking give him a whack,
Just cross the head.
yeah, just like bring him
wooden
home.
spoon.
I'm
Wooden
with you on
spoon
that.
or the belt, mate, you choose.
I felt that.
I got a lot of wooden spoons in my childhood.
What are you saying?
Luke, come here, Luke.
I thought Marty's kind of like apathy when he started rebelling was like frustrated me a bit. I was like,
Yeah,
come on, Marty,
that's-
like bring
I
him
think
back
that's what
in,
it
bring him
was.
back in because he was on a he could have been brought back, I reckon.
Oh, easily.
If
yeah.
Marty had just talked him, but
Yeah.
Marty was so distracted by
He was
everything
so
else
distracted.
going
and he's
on.
obviously an asset, Jonah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. He's an asset to their family, but when he's turned against them, he's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
He obviously is the one that because he sees everything.
Liability.
kind of
Maybe it
from
was
how
more so the way that
Massive
Marty
liability, yeah.
treated or Marty reacted to Jonah's rebellion. Maybe that's
Yeah.
what pissed me off. But
Well,
I don't
yeah,
know.
I kind of agree. Like, I think that he's come a long way, and I started to like him and like see where he's coming from. But in the first two seasons, or maybe just the first season, like he's a bit of an annoying kid. Like,
It's so annoying.
he's like,
I would
would've
have
hated
chat
him.
around the dinner table, like
chat
shut
around
up,
the
mate.
dinner table, like causing a bit of a ruckus, like shooting things, like
Yeah.
on his own accord. Obviously,
Yeah.
Buddy was like, you
Just
know,
definitely just his personality, I think. Like
Yeah, I
we
don't
all know a kid like that, I reckon. Like just like a little bit off with the fairies, like
yeah.
Yeah, I
but
think-
obviously switched on and smart at the same
Yeah.
time. Like obviously had it was almost like he was like a little bit on the spectrum because
Well,
he was so good at the
I think it was deliberate
coding
for
and
sure,
shit.
though.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I just thought of this now. Like in season 3, he has a bit of a relationship with Helen's daughter.
I know.
I was like, oh, okay, like I kind of back that.
yeah,
was
he
a
gets
sort too.
close.
I don't know if she was, but
I'm no about that.
Like,
what,
you
is she
start-
15 years old?
Jail time for you, I reckon.
also the way he like tunes her is like with his drone or whatever, like flying in the
Oh, yeah. He into the pool party.
heaps normal things
Yeah,
to do.
really? Yeah,
He's starting,
really
his own,
cool
he's
trick,
starting
man.
an OnlyFans.
So that is a wrap for Ozark season 4. What a great season. Sad to see it end. As always, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Cinemates, a podcast where a bunch of mates chat about cinema over some drinks. And huge thank you to Pat, Oli, and Luke for coming on the podcast. It was great chatting with you.
Awesome.
Cheers. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, mate.
No worries, boys.
Cheers.
As always, please let us know what you want to hear about in future episodes. And if you want to send in a mailbag or do an elevator pitch to me, send us a DM on Instagram or TikTok at cinemaze_. Otherwise, we'll catch you for the next episode. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Cinemates. Make sure to follow us and leave a review on your chosen streaming platforms. Also, check out our Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube channel for more Cinemaze content. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge Australia's First Nations people as the traditional owners and custodians of the land and pay respect to the Cammeraygal people of the Eora Nation upon whose country Cinemaze is based. We honour the storytelling and culture of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities across Australia. Also, in the spirit of chatting with mates, remember it's always important to check in with those around you. Whether it's friends, family, or colleagues, sometimes they may be going through a hard time, and chatting with them may reassure them that they aren't alone. If you or anyone you know is ever struggling, call Lifeline on 13 11 14.